and I go on the outside and I take a little bit of, just a hair of wax, or maybe even just wet the card a little bit and set it against the window on the outside of the glass. Now, I get my deck of cards and I find that duplicate, that card. Of course, you need two decks here. You're going to take the deck you're going to use and put that card on top of the deck. Now, I just simply go to my card force them to pick that card, and then I say, okay, now, I take the card and I lose it in there, maybe shuffle the deck up. I say, now, with one pick, I'm going to pick your card. Bam, is that your card? And they're going to say, no. If you accidentally pick it, bam, that trick's over. Move on to the next trick. Don't even worry about forcing it through glass. But most generally, they're going to say, no, that's not it. And I'll be like, what? And I'll be like, you gotta be kidding me. And I'll take the deck and I'll throw it against that glass. All the cards splatter except for one card. Of course, you've already got it set up. All the cards fall down except that one card. And somebody, I guarantee, will run over and be like, oh my gosh, that's the card. And they'll try to get it, and they'll realize it's on the other side of the glass. And they'll say, it's on the other side of the glass. And that's forcing a card through glass. A few tips on forcing a card through the glass. First of all, always do this first, because obviously you don't want this card to be seen, so do it first in your routine. And what I always do is, like, I'll pick a window that I know no one's going to really be looking at, maybe even off in the next room, maybe right beside the room we're in. And then as I do the trick, I'll be standing right between the two rooms, and then I'll just turn and throw the cards at that window. You know, eliminate the possibility that they might see this. And if somebody accidentally does see it stuck up there in a glass, before you do the trick, just be like, you know, I was outside throwing cards and probably one of them stuck up there. Say you don't want to go to the trouble of putting a card up in the glass, or maybe you can't go to that trouble right now. I'm going to show you how to do the same force and reveal it in a way just as good. And what you do is you do the same exact trick to start with. You take whatever cards you want to reveal and put it on top of the deck. We've got the Queen of Clubs up there, so we'll just stay with her. Now you tell the person to go ahead, cut the deck and turn it upside down. Now say cut it again even deeper. And now, again, you say we're going to go to the first face-down card, the card we don't know what it is. And now when you get to that, say this is the card you've chosen. Now I want you to look at this card, and I'll even turn my back, or I may even leave the room. Say, look at it, memorize it, and then lose it in the deck. And they're going to lose it in the deck. They're going to shuffle the cards and lose that card in the deck. Now, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take these cards and I'll be able to find your card just by the feel of it. I'll say, now if I come to it, don't say anything. Keep going. And once I get to it, actually I've already gotten to it right here. Once I get to it, I'll pass it by 3 or 4 cards. Now I'll say, now, I'm willing to bet that the next card I turn over is your card. And when they say, sure, don't use this to make money, of course. You can even say, obviously if you say, put down $5, I'll bet the next card I turn over will be yours. Now they think you're going to turn this card over, and they'll say, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I reach down and I say, bam. And I turn their card upside down, turn it over, and the trick's on them. It's called I bet it's your card. Okay, this is a close-up of that trick. I want you to see exactly how I do it. Now we're just assuming that I've already done the trick where I force them to pick that Queen of Clubs or whatever card you put on top of the deck. And they've lost it in here and they've shuffled it, lost it. Now you say, okay, I'm going to go through here. When I come to your card, don't tell me it. I should know it. Remember, don't stop me. I'll know when I come to your card. Now notice, I've already came to their card. Right here it is. Now I'm going to say, now, are you willing to bet that the next card I turn over will be your card? Of course they will, because they think you're going to turn this card over. And when they say yes, you reach down, you take their card, bam. Yeah, every time I do this trick, it always reminds me of the time I ran across a guy doing this trick, and he was trying to take people's money. And I never break, the rule of not blowing a magician's trick, but just this one time I couldn't help. So he did it to me. I know he did it to some other people, and he did it to me. And he got to the point where he was getting ready to, he turned the cards down, and he said, now, are you willing to bet the next card I turn over will be yours? And I said, Yeah. He said, well, you bet $20. And I said, well, will you make it an even 100 and shake on it? And now, of course, one of his hands is holding the deck. His other hand was shaking my hand. While he was shaking my hand, I took my free hand and I pulled out my card and I stuck it in my pocket and I said, okay, go ahead. Of course, he was busted. So remember, even though you think you may be slick, you may think you can take someone's money, gambling will always burn you in the end.